Hello everyone, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the Nürburgring. This is the Ferrari Challenge, our venture to Germany and the Nürburgring, where the weather has failed to disappoint and is as eclectic as we expected it to be, I think, here in the Eifel region of Germany. As you can see, it is our 6th round of the season, with the 7th round to come at the Finale Mondiale event in Imola mid-October. I have to say, Nico Spalek alongside me, weather conditions here in Nürburgring are very mid-October-like, and we are at the beginning of September.
Yeah, bathed in the sunshine here at the Nürburgring is... Oh, sorry, I was looking at the replay from Le Castellet. No, this is the Nürburgring on these pictures still in the sunshine, so you can see it exists around here. And we get indication that it might be sunny again sometime in the future. It is not sunny right now, as you can tell. There's the weather to prove it, the weather data, if you need any proof.
Yes, track temperature currently 20 degrees, the air temperature chilly 16, relatively speaking. And this is the Nürburgring, the GP configuration that we use here at the Nürburgring, which is 5.148 kilometers or 3.2 miles, and contains some 15 turns. 6 of them are left and 9 of them are right-handers. It is quite a challenge for our drivers. And there you can see the wonderful section and almost the hairpin, which is turn number 7, which you're looking at right center picture right now. So what a phenomenal circuit this is. And we're about to let go with our Pirelli and Pirelli AM drivers for their qualifying session. 30 minutes will be on the clock for them to set the best possible grid position they can for their race 1 tomorrow, and they'll actually also be out for another qualifying session later on today, where they'll be setting the best position they can for qualifying for race 2 to come, as we look at the car of Herbert Gies, who I spoke to just a few moments ago. Actually, he was quite looking forward to the qualifying session. Of course, a home gig for Herbert here, driving for the Maranello Motors team. His best result at P2 thus far this season. Is he going to be able to better that today? The number 91 car is Philip Baron. Philip, who has been a race winner this season, unsurprisingly. And then the queue of cars waiting to go out, one of which, of course, not in the queue at the moment, is the number 8 car of Luca Ludwig. If anyone knows this track, Luca Ludwig knows it pretty well. And funnily enough, Nico, I met Luca's father, Klaus, very famed racing driver in these parts, as it were, and I'm tempted to say if anyone knows the track a little bit better than Luca, perhaps Klaus does.
Yeah, that is fair, and there is the Dylan Medler car of Ferrari of Miami. Doesn't sound all that bad if you say it like that. Sounds even better if you say it like you know what you're talking about, but Dylan Medler certainly knows what he's doing when he is in the car, and he obviously races in the challenge in the US.
Very successfully.
As he does indeed, but he's also choosing to race here in Europe, and very, very good to see competitors from all over the world taking part in the world that is Ferrari Challenge. Not quite as far a trip to the Nürburgring for Danilo Del Favero, one of our German races, and there is the very distinctive black and green machine of our championship leader, and that is Klaus Branson.
Indeed, he leads the championship in Trofeo Pirelli AM. So, Klaus Branson, there's the number 2 car of Giacomo Altoe. All bar 2 races, he's been a non-stop winner this season as Giacomo, and he'll be hoping to do the same this weekend and put it into a winning trajectory. Jean-Luc Daria actually drove that car in the opening round in Mugello, and Jean-Luc is also here coaching as well, another talented young racing driver just like Giacomo Altoe. And really interesting development in the Ferrari challenges over the last few years. We've seen so many really talented young drivers using the Ferrari challenge to almost springboard their motor racing career, which is great to see. And we have a number of them out there driving in Trofeo Pirelli and or Trofeo Pirelli AM. So cars make their way down towards the hairpin, which is turn number 1. Well, I think it's a hairpin. Jolly near is. really downhill section as well into turn 2. And there we can see Andreas Berg Sorensen, who's another one of those young, talented drivers that I was talking about. Andreas Berg Sorensen driving for the Formula Racing team. It's going to be a busy qualifying session, that's for sure, with a lot of cars out there on track. A mix of Pirelli and Pirelli AM drivers now. The Pirelli drivers have got a red strip across the top of the windscreen. The Pirelli AM drivers have a white strip across the top of the windscreen. That's how you can identify which category each of the cars and drivers is competing in.
Absolutely. And just to finish the Jean-Luc Daria angle and the progression from the Ferrari Challenge and how it translates to other series. Just a week ago at Spa, which is only a stone's throw away as it feels, Jean-Luc Daria for ML Ferrari Racing took P2 in the ADAC GT Masters, so got another podium for the very successful 296 GT3 in that case. So, you know, just goes to show that the Ferrari Challenge is but one part of all the racing activity and the success of not only the Ferrari, Corsa Clienti, Competizione GT, but the 296 as well.
Well done for pointing that out. You're absolutely right. The number 13 drive is Luigi Coluccio, who made his debut in the Ferrari Challenge at Portimao, if I'm not mistaken. And he's been regularly at the sharp end of the achievements in the races, the P5s and P4s. Now, the track has been nominated a wet track. It's very damp out there, that's for sure. There's a couple of our Trofeo Pirelli drivers as Benz Valent heads them down. And it's this downhill section, bit of a bump going into turn number 1. So many different lines can be used through turn number 1. I love this turn. I love the Nürburgring. And there you can see how the inside line isn't necessarily always the right line to use, but sometimes it is. Sometimes it isn't. Depends what traffic is around you and how forgiving or unforgiving the competitive drivers will be, as Luca Ludwig then out in the number 8 car of Mertel Motorsport. Luca, a race winner this year, taking a win at Portimao in Portugal when we were there at the beginning of July. Seems a long time ago now, but Luca Ludwig, a race winner, and always expect to see Luca at the sharp end of the achievements come the end of the races. Had many other podiums as well, but perhaps not as many wins as he would like, maybe. But Luca is someone that you would never bet against, and his encyclopedic knowledge, I want to suggest, of the Nürburgring, surely, Nico, must be worth a few tenths to him.
Yeah, absolutely. As he goes through the Michael Schumacher-esque, obviously also a name not only renowned for German motorsport, global motorsport, but also very much associated with the prancing horse and the Ferrari brand. And yeah, Luca Ludwig, you said, he certainly would have liked to have at least one more win in Le Castellet, where he was beaten on the penultimate lap, on the final turn, by Giacomo Altori with an amazing move. In fairness, he did just the previous round, it was Luca Ludwig who made an amazing move on Giacomo Altori and snatched victory away from the Italian. So it is a very competitive season, and we've seen very good and close racing effectively throughout the entirety of the season. And this season is kind of coming to a head here and then the World Finals in Imola in a few weeks' time. So Luca Ludwig certainly still very much in contention for the title, but he has to maximize the points haul and make good on his home track knowledge.
Yes, probably it's fair to say that he could, not that he would ever extend it to any other driver, but it would not be handy if Giacomo didn't have good results as well. You can see Luca there really pushing the car and sliding it. He is the quickest driver, but the conditions out there are, they're not only damp, they're more than that. And you can see as Giacomo Altoe is wrestling with the car. Giacomo Altoe is currently second fastest there. He's having to pile on opposite locks. He's sliding the car around the bends because the grip is just not where the drivers would like it to be. He's being followed there by Dylan Medler, I believe it is, as Giacomo Altoe then has posted a 2:14.388 previously. And Federico Alrifai, who makes his debut in the Ferrari Challenge this weekend, goes quickest for our Pirelli AM drivers. And there you can see inside the garages, as data is being analysed, discussions going on with drivers as well, with their driver coaches, constantly in contact, and that is Jean-Luc Darrier that you can see there in the Emil Frey garage, and brilliant, able to bring you those pictures live from our paddock here at the Nürburgring, as Luca Ludwig, Giacomo Altoe, P1 and P2. Then, Nico, it's two of our new drivers into the Pirelli AM that are P1 and P2 for the Pirelli AM classification. Federico El Rifai and Michael Verhagen.
Absolutely, and I mean, it's early stages of this qualifying session, so let's see how that holds up, but always good to see new entries in the Ferrari Challenge, always see new entries doing well and establishing themselves and allowing us to call out a few new names. Not that we are bored or in any way dissatisfied with the traditional ones. Great to have you all with us, but it's always good to see the family growing, if you will, and with more than 25 cars on track here between Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli AM. That's really a welcome sight. Really, really good and dynamic paddock and track.
It's also testament to how in demand a drive in the Ferrari Challenge is. You know, the 296 car, brand new Ferrari Challenge car for 2024, has proven to be such a good racing car that so many drivers want to be a part of it. As Marco Zanassi now goes quickest for our AM drivers and second fastest overall, ahead of Andrew Morrow, P2, and Federico El Rifai now relegated to P3 as we watch Herbert Gies here, who's currently seventh fastest for Maranello Motors, a local gig for him, and he turns into the chicane.
Yeah, and Herbert Gies and Maranello Motors, a Cologne team, so obviously that is indeed the closest track to Cologne, and therefore I'm not sure if it gives them an extra home field advantage, but certainly they will have some guests here in the paddock this weekend. And Herbert moves up from P7 to P6 in class, which is P10 overall, as Luca Ludwig for the moment reigns supreme at 2:11.869. It's difficult to compare the times with the Coppa Shell AM session earlier because of the moisture and the rain and the fog, so not quite sure. There is Marco Zanassi, currently P2 in the championship standings in Trofeo Pirelli AM, and he's certainly not finding the right braking point and trajectory through that turn. And can he keep it going? Haven't seen any indication of a red flag. I think he got it out of there.
Yeah. Well, interesting here, we can see that Federico El Rifai is pushing really, really hard now. As we can see inside the pit lane is the Giacomo Altoe car, the car that is currently P2 in class, P4 overall. So this is Federico's really going quickly, second one and second two, both purple sectors. He's currently sixth fastest overall. Make that sixth fastest within class, make that now P1 in class, and actually P2 overall. A very good show there from Federico El Rifai. For Rosso Corsa, a 2:12.133, 133, beg your pardon, gives him P1 in class, P2 overall. Luca Ludwig remains P1 with a 2:11.805. Thus far, he's the only driver to put it into the 2:11s. Times are a little bit down on the times we saw from an earlier qualifying session. That's usually damp conditions that the drivers have to contend with out there at the Nürburgring. Luca Ludwig into the Mertel Motorsport garage. We can see as the Luca Ludwig team monitoring every aspect, every centimetre of this tarmac, the weather conditions, all the data that is being sent back from the car to the screens that they have inside the garage. Really, really good to see that. And as I mentioned, Luca's father, Klaus Ludwig, was certainly here yesterday. I suspect he'll be here as well today. I think how many races Klaus has run over the years, but you know, hugely successful driver on the Ludwig name. sends shivers down one's spine here in Germany because they are super driving family through the kink, which is turn 12, heading up towards the chicane now. Watch this. As Luca, I mean, more than any other driver, because of his experience of the Nürburgring, he knows how to throw that car over the curbs on the entry to that chicane and brings the car into the pit lane. So he was not on a trajectory to improve. So has brought the car into the pit lane as there you can see Ben Svalent sliding the car around. He's currently second fastest in class and is third fastest overall, and he crosses the timing line now and needs to find another 8.5 tenths really to be able to take it to Luca Ludwig. Perhaps he will do it on this lap. Let's see. 18.5 minutes. Well, he certainly won't do it now because it's run really rather too wide through turn number 1.
Yeah, we've said it before. This turn number 1 is really tricky with little direction change, elevation change, and then if the apex is the apex, but there are so many different lines going to the next sequence of turns, it kind of determines how you want to exit turn 1. So it gives you a few options, but it also means that it's quite tricky to get that entry into that next part of the track right. So it is quite a tricky one. As Herbert, guys, follow him. Good first sector as he approaches the chicane. Another part where you can go very different lines, and only some of them are legal. And most of them will get your lap time deleted. Approaching the final turn, that right-hander, it is one of those turns which seems to go on forever. You want to get onto the apex early, but you'd rather keep it a little later to then be able to put your foot down and put the full throttle onto the start-finish straight. And Herbert Dice moves up to P3 in class.
Good showing. He, of course, is coached by another driver that knows his way around the Nürburgring as well, that's for sure. As we watch Albright doing a really good job. Federico is looking really quick here. So you can see the purple colouring around S1. That means Sector 1, he was quicker than anybody. Now, if he can match that with Sector 2 and maybe Sector 3 as well, this could be a time that would trouble even our Pirelli driver at the top, which is Luca Ludwig. Is that Olaskowski car we're looking at, I think? No, it's Armin Arifpour. Armin Arifpour, then the Riller and Schnaut driver. As well, Federico, Nico. This is looking pretty promising. Is this going to wrestle away the 2:11.805 from Luca Ludwig? I think it might. As he heads to break the timing beat now, Giacomo Altoe just did it. But now it is Federico Alrifi that goes to the top of the chart for Pirelli AMP drivers. Giacomo Altoe for Emil Frey Racing has gone to the top for our Pirelli drivers with a time of 2:09.900. So super slow-mo of the Rosso Corsa racer Federico Alrifi, 2:10.705. That means he's the best of the Pirelli AMP drivers thus far. And we're on to the Rosso Corsa pit wall there. Altoe from Alrifi, then it's Ludwig, Zebranson, Viol, Valent. Dylan Medler has just gone 4th fastest overall, but 3rd fastest within class. Now here is championship leader in terms of Trofeo Pirelli AMP, Klaus Zebranson for Formula Racing, Nico. He's had it's fair to say, something of a roller coaster of a season, hasn't he?
Yeah, he started the season off in a perfect way, got the win, and then was doing all right, but then he had a really tough stretch, some bad luck, also by his own admission, made a few mistakes, and that really dropped him down the order. But since Jerez race 2, he's now on a 5-race winning streak and has really clawed not only back into the fight, but really now in a very strong and commanding position. So really a season that has gone in different ways throughout the campaign thus far, and he now really needs just to consistently score and be diligent about his racing.
right on board with the ML Fry Racing driver Giacomo Altoe. We're right on board through the pit lane, which is where he's coming right now. Having set the fastest lap, he is in that P1 position. P1 overall, P1 in class. Federico has just gone P1 for Pirelli AM drivers. One of those Pirelli AM drivers is Andreas Berg Sorensen that we're looking at here, who is not quite where he needs to be or where he would like to be. There's Dylan Medler. And Dylan Medler is third fastest in Pirelli Nico for Bellin Racing and Ferrari of Miami. I gave it the all-American twang as Dylan throws the car across the ins and the outs of the curves of the final chicane, turns 13 and 14. Dylan on a real charge, it has to be said. He's a super young man, very talented, driving not only in North America but also here in the UK, in Europe as well. And he goes second fastest in class, so he relegates Luca Ludwig now, who led the session for a long time. Luca is down to P3, but that's actually P6 overall. And it's great to see 3 Pirelli AM drivers, Nico, who are actually P2, 3, and 4 overall. Very quick.
Yeah, absolutely. So Luca Ludwig, he was in the pits. He is now, I believe, ready to respawn exactly and climb back up the order. But as you say, I mean, lots of Pirelli AM drivers really leaving their mark, and they're also on improvement trajectories. And now, as we're only 12.5 minutes remaining in this session, it means lots of drivers will come out, lots of drivers will be out there, and that means on the Nürburgring, it's not a short track necessarily, but it's going to be quite a busy one for sure. And one of those drivers making it busy and making it very quick is Marco Zanazzi, who is P2 overall in Trofeo Pirelli AM. And if he wants to get back into the championship fight for real, every point that he can make up versus Klaus Franz will help. He's currently ahead of him, P2 overall, to make that P1. That would give him an additional point for pole position if it stayed that way.
Oh, as a round has gone, I think that's James Owen spinning around. Yeah, Nico makes the point there, and it's a very valid one, that if you succeed in qualifying and you're the fastest in each of the categories, so Pirelli and Pirelli AM, they're scored independently, you gain a point for pole position. And as Nico says, with every point, that can be crucial come the end of the season. Dylan Medler is on a really good showing here in the Nürburgring. Currently second fastest, and I was hoping that his Sector 2 time was not good enough for him to continue. As Russell Branson, Nico, can we see Russell Branson coming off the wets and going off the sticks?
I think yes, it wasn't quite visible to me. Certainly there were wets on the side. See, I think those are slicks. Yes, they are slicks, aren't they?
I think so.
Well, that would throw
That's amongst a pigeon.
Well, yeah, and the slick amongst the damp track. As Angelo Fontana, he's currently running in P5 in class, also trying to improve. I don't know if it was how off the track, if that was the recovery vehicle, which I caught in the corner of my eye. Certainly no indication of an extended yellow flag or anything like that, so I guess that was just a phantom car somewhere on the side. Certainly Angelo Fontana has not slowed down, as indicated by the blue sectors. He's taking the final turn, currently P6 in class, and that is P10 overall. Can he make it up the order? Yes, up to P4 with a 2:11.694, so good lap.
Let's see as we take a look at the times, because we think the number of drivers have decided with 10 minutes remaining in the session, Nico, that's enough time for them to come in and consider putting slicks on. We think Giacomo Altoe is one of those drivers. He's already at the top with a 2:09.9. If that time comes tumbling down, then we will know that what we think he has done has put on a set of slick tyres. Bounce bouncing over the curve, really wring the neck of these 296 Challenge cars. Let's go into the Emil Frey Racing Garage. And there you can see the Jean-Luc Darrier to the mid of your picture with the red and yellow jacket on. It was Jean-Luc that was Nico was waxing lyrical about in terms of his successes. Here in a coaching role this weekend, as we see the car of David Akabadze, the all-yellow 296 Challenge car. There, David Akabadze then driving that number 23 car. Best finish so far this season is just on the podium, P4. Can he move up a further step? Now here's Angelo Fontana, improving once again through Sector 1, but he's about to come up against some traffic, I believe. So Giacomo Altoe, Marco Zanassi, then it's Federico Alrifai, Klaus Sebrands. And there you can see how Fontana has caught that traffic. And unfortunately, that will have done for his lap on this occasion. I'm pretty sure it was the Danilo Del Favaro car that he comes up against. Indeed it is, into the chicane they go, but that will have compromised Federico Alrifai's lap. Sorry, Angelo Fontana's lap. He will have to go again because, as you can see, the Sector 2 colour bar is coloured dark grey. Sure enough, no improvement. So this is the lap that may count for him if he can find clear track ahead of him. With only 7.5 minutes remaining, it becomes very busy all of a sudden out there at the Nürburgring. It's Giacomo Altoe, best of the drivers in Pirelli. Dylan Medler is second best in the Pirellis, and Luca Ludwig third fastest in the Pirellis. For the AM drivers, it's Marco Zanassi, Federico Alrifai, and Klaus Sebrands. Now, you can just see in the back of the picture there Tibor Valent watching on. Tibor Valent is dad to Benz Valent, who's currently fourth fastest in Trofeo Pirelli. It's Andreas Berg Sorensen. He's making his way past some traffic now, and Andreas Berg Sorensen was on a really, really good trajectory with purple sectors on Sector 1 and Sector 2. I rather think that Sector 3 will have been compromised, but this could be a huge improvement for Andreas Berg Sorensen, another one of those young drivers, as Luca Ludwig goes quickest now, having posted a 209.438. Andreas Berg Sorensen improves, he goes third fastest in our Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers, and his lap was undoubtedly compromised. Franz Engstler, it's so good to see Franz back behind the wheel of the #1 car. As Franz Engstler takes a look at the chicane now. Now he was on a purple Sector 1, he's on a purple Sector 2 now. That means he's quicker than any other driver in his category. Franz Engstler is a renowned driver. He knows the Nürburgring really, really well. And he will head towards breaking the timing beam now. And Franz Engstler goes not only P1 in category, he goes P1 over anybody with a 208.504. But here comes Giacomo Altoe to respond. So it is all livening up significantly over the final stages of this qualifying session for Ferrari Challenge, Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli AM. Brilliant stuff that we're watching. Giacomo Altoe, we're live on board with him. And through the chicane, it's looking very good. 2 purple sectors for Giacomo Altoe. Is he going to wrestle away this P1 position from Franz Engstler? A 208.504 is the target. He's going to whitewash that with a 207.144. He takes 1.36 seconds out of the Franz Engstler time. Brilliant job done. And here comes Luca Ludwig. He is 2 seconds down, Nico, on any other driver. So I think our thought process that some drivers have decided to change the tires is proving to be correct, because the time deficit is so big now as Luca Ludwig crosses the line, and he's 2.1 seconds quicker than anyone else at 205.030.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is now a really visible difference between the wets and the slick tires. There you can see Luca Ludwig as he attacks the curbs through the chicane, especially on the inside, a little bit more gentle on the outside, as to give him the ability to get on the throttle and improve. Giacomo Altoe, talking about improvement, he is improving in terms of time, and that is the Franz Engstler car. He is alongside the number 71 car of Otto Blank. Did that delay him? I think a little bit. Is it going to be enough to prevent him from taking P1? Well, he is P1 in class by a huge margin, a little bit behind Luca Ludwig, and he was on trajectory to be on the same level, so maybe that cost him, but for the moment, in class, it doesn't matter.
Here is Giacomo Altoe then, sector 1, quicker than anyone. Giacomo Altoe is now second fastest in class, third fastest, but he has taken half a second out of the previous best time as he throws the car through the chicane. Giacomo Altoe then for Emil Frey Racing rounds the final turn. As Nico has suggested, it's a long, winding turn. But Giacomo Altoe crosses the timing beam, and the times now, the margins are so big. That's a 2:04.080 from Giacomo Altoe. That's a full second quicker than this man that we ride on board with, Luca Ludwig. But look at Luca's cumulative time.
Yeah, and Giacomo Altoe, he lost quite a lot of time. Unbelievably as it may sound that he's almost a second quicker, he lost more than a second in the second sector to the current time of Luca Ludwig, and he is now on trajectory to I want to say vaporize the time of Giacomo Altoe, but this feels like one where the last driver across the line will be on pole. Luca Ludwig at 2:02.914. So first beaten by almost a second, now 1.1 second up, so 2 seconds quicker than his previous best time. So the trajectory is clear. Franz Engstler very aggressive into that turn, even more aggressive out. Ooh,
that's very, very unusual. It's not often that you see Franz Engstler push so hard that he just lost out there. He remains P1 in class, P3 fastest overall. Let's ride on board right now. Big shout out to Dylan Medler, who has just gone third fastest for the Pirelli drivers, but we ride on board with the Emil Frey Racing driver, Giacomo Altoe, who thus far is something like 1.5 seconds up. Let's see where he's at when we complete the sector 2 here. Ferrari Challenge Europe, then we're riding on board with Giacomo Altoe. Make that 2 seconds quicker than any other driver across 2 sectors, Nico. Assuming he doesn't get balked by anyone in the final turn, and there's no one there, he should be on a good run to cross the timing line and put a time into the just off, a 2:00.539. But Luca Ludwig is also looking quick. Dylan Medler's looking quick as well. So, Nico, I think your position that you took is absolutely right. It's going to be the last driver across the line almost, isn't it? That's going to be the quickest driver, I think. It's just the track evolution, how it's happened.
Yeah, absolutely. The track is now really visibly drying, and Luca Ludwig is rounding the final turn. Half a minute remaining. That means between Altoe and Ludwig, it's going to be Ludwig across the line last. Currently, Altoe is P1. It's a quarter of a second. Will any of the two do something about it? The 2-minute barrier is up for grabs. Is tumbling? Is it falling? We will see. Klaus de Branson has made it up into P1 in the AMS. Then Dylan Medler, Franz Engstler, Danilo Del Favro, Andrew Murrow and Michael Verhagen, both also improving. Lots of improvements, obviously, at this stage with the track evolving.
Franz is in traffic here. He's got Hendrik Viola ahead of him, Otto Blank behind him. And Franz Engstler, despite having those cars there, he still posted a purple Sector 1 and Sector 2. So Franz Engstler takes more out of the curbs than any other driver before. And we keep waxing lyrical about drivers that know this track really, really well. Franz Engstler is certainly one of those, as Giacomo Altoe is fighting out there as well. Franz Engstler crosses the timing beam. He goes fastest in class. 2:02.822, and the checkered flag is out on the session. Now, here is Luca Ludwig. Let's take a look at his sector times then. He's up a bit. He is up on Giacomo Altoe. So he needs to continue that. And P2 for the Mertel Motorsport driver at the moment. He's about to cross the Sector 2 timing line, and he has increased again the margin. He's now some 6/10 down on the time of Giacomo Altoe, and Giacomo cannot go again. Luca Ludwig is going to be the final of the competitive cars, if you will, to cross the line. And Luca Ludwig heads towards the timing beam, and he breaks it, and he goes P1 with a 2:00.170. The Mertel Motorsport team rejoice, because Luca Ludwig delivered when he needed to. That was very, very good use of the timing, and the teams, of course, will have played their part in that, in telling Luca when to push and when not to push. But that will be pole position for Luca Ludwig for Trofeo Pirelli. For Pirelli Am, it will be Franz Engstler, and a big shout out to Andrew Morrow. Nico, the British driver from Charleshurst, who has gone P2 in Pirelli Am. A very good qualifying from Andrew.
Yeah, Michael Pagan, P3, both of them bolting Klaus Brunson after the clock had counted down 2-0. So very, very good showing also from our newcomers. Luca Ludwig, who put his Ferrari, then still 488, on pole for the Nürburgring 24-hour race in 2022.
Well remembered.
In 2023, obviously, Ferrari won the race, the 24 hours, here at the Nürburgring for the first time. So this track, so steeped in history and so good memories for Ferrari in recent years, and Luca Ludwig adds to his set of great memories on this circuit. He certainly wants to make more memories later today in second qualifying, and of course tomorrow and on Sunday in the races, but he's done everything that he could do in this session, and as you said, Mertel Motorsport have played their big part in that.
He will be in receipt of the Rotiform Pole Position Award. Well done, Luca Ludwig, P1. Giacomo Altoe, P2. Dylan Medler, good quality, Dylan, P3. Best of the AM drivers, Franz Engstler ahead of Andrew Morrow. Then it was Michael Verhagen, Klaus Branson, dare I say it, out of position. Marco Zanassi, Hendrik Viol, and Danilo Del Favero complete the top 10 overall from our qualifying session for our Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli drivers. Then it was Philip Barron, Herbert Geiss, James Owen, Ben Svallin, Federico Alrifai, Angelo Fantana, Andreas Berg Sorensen, Hanno Laskowski, Max Mugelli, Otto Blank, Ivan Velasco Sanchez, David Akabadzi, Axel Sardingen, way down the order, Matthias Thoman, Luigi Coluccio, and Armin Arafpour complete our classification for our Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli qualifying, and Mertel Motorsport driver one Mr. L. Ludwig takes pole position with a 2:00.170. We ride on board with him as he comes down the pit lane then, and the Mertel Motorsport team were waiting to receive him into his grid box. And well done to Luca Ludwig, and well done to all our drivers. There were 1 or 2 excursions off track, proving just how difficult the conditions were, particularly at the beginning of the session. But the track was obviously evolving, and so the times came tumbling down. And my colleague alongside me, Nico Spalak, predicted we would see that the very last driver across the timing line would set the fastest lap, and that is exactly what happened with Luca Ludwig. He was just in a very, very advantageous position, designed by the team, I'm sure, to make sure that he would be the final driver that would cross the line. Here he is. Job well done, I would suggest. And team down there ready to congratulate him. Is that Klaus? Yes, it is. With the white baseball cap on, that is Klaus Ludwig, just walking back into the garage. So from Nico and from myself, thanks for watching qualifying. Bye-bye.
10 minutes until the beginning of the first qualifying for Coppa 1. Achtung, Fahrerlager, noch 5 Minuten bis zum Beginn des ersten Qualifying der Coppa Shell and 480S. Attention now, attention now. 1 minute until the beginning, first qualifying for Coppa Shell and 480S.
Welcome to round 6 of the Ferrari Challenge, Europe. We are at the Nürburgring, and this is qualifying about to get underway for our 488 drivers and for our Shell drivers as well. Here is the calendar for 2024 then, having been to Mugello, to Balaton, to Jerez, to Portimao, to Le Castellet. Here we find ourselves in Germany, in the Eifel region at the Nürburgring, before the Finale Mondiale event at Imola, right at the mid-October, and that will be our final event in what has been an epic 2024 season for this wonderful series, the Ferrari Challenge. This is something of an epic track, the Nürburgring, where the weather is every bit as Nürburgring as you would expect it to be. Track temperature 20 degrees, air temperature 16 degrees, just 1 kilometer per hour of wind, and it's still a bit murky in places in terms of fog. And yeah, it's been a bit damp, but it's dried out nicely now. The track itself then is a demanding one for our drivers as it winds its way through the Eifel topography. It is 5.148 kilometers long. It has 15 turns. 6 of them are left and 9 of them are right-handers. And yeah, it's a track that really rewards you if you get it right, and it really punishes you and bites you on the bottom if you get it wrong. And our drivers standing by to get out there and post the best time they can during this 30-minute session. It's going to be a very, very busy session with some 26 drivers out there on track all told, and there is Motohiko Isosaki, the Cornes Motorshiba driver of car number 105, and of course Coppa Shell champion from 2023, Motohiko Isosaki, who lives and breathes the Ferrari passion. You will not find a more enthusiastic individual about racing and about really everything to do with the prancing horse. He is a true Ferraristi. Nico Spalek alongside me then, who only right and proper that Nico joins us for qualifying, he being German, of course, and therefore he can speak with some authority about the Eifel region, about the Nürburgring, and about the rubbish weather we've got for September, friend.
No, it's always the same. Sometimes in winter there's snow. No, it is the Nürburgring, and the weather is baked into this place, as it is for Spa. As we get this qualifying session underway, and leading away is our 2 representatives of our 488 Challenge Evo class, who the drivers still pilot the cars which have been such a staple of the Ferrari Challenge for so many years and have delivered so great action. They're still part of the action this year, and alongside and supporting, I dare say, the 296, the very new, brand new machine from Maranello, which all the drivers tell us is such an amazing race car, and much more reliable and consistent than the weather here. But in fairness, since maybe an hour and a half ago, it's cleared up quite significantly, and that's also part of the Nürburgring. It may just be sunshine this afternoon when we get to qualifying 2 across our categories. You never know, it might be snow after all. This is the Coppa Shell, ready to do battle and to qualify for the races for tomorrow and on Sunday.
Yes, it's very unusual. It's because this event is part of the Ferrari Racing Days. What does Ferrari Racing Days mean, Dave and Nico? Well, it means that there are so many activities on track in addition to the wonderful Ferrari Challenge. We have the XX Programs cars, we have the F1 Clienti cars, of course we have the Club Competizione GT cars, we have the Sport Prototipi cars. I mean, it's just a wonderful event, and yeah, here at the Nürburgring, which is the stuff of legend, it's just wonderful to see, as is the Andreas Rizzi car that we could see then just momentarily. So it is the Shell drivers out there for their qualifying session, the 488 drivers as well, and it's almost the last hurrah for the 488 Challenge car, because it will be this event plus Finale Mondiale be the last showing in the Ferrari Challenge of the 488 car, which Nico says has been such a staple for so many years of the Ferrari Challenge. It's been so successful. It's great to see the car continuing then. But this car that's driven by Henry Hassid for Kessel Racing is the 296 car, which by everyone's admission, is a phenomenal racing car. So we've got 30 minutes on the clock, and we have, as I mentioned, a huge number of drivers out there, 26 drivers to set the best time they can for their respective qualifying session. Now, if you see a blue strip across the top of the windscreen, that means it's a 488 challenge car. And if you see a yellow strip across the top of the windscreen, it's a 296 Shell driver, and Henry Hassid is one of those. And Henry Hassid, who's had a very, very good season, it must be said, with 4 wins, I think, if I can count correctly. And he'll be trying to get his way up the order during this qualifying session, make no mistake. Faisal Shayer also racing for Scuderia Lebanon in the 205 488 challenge car. And yeah, it's going to be a very, very busy 30 minutes, Nico, because as we saw in the last qualifying session, which was but a few moments ago, the track has really evolved now. And I think it's fair to say that we might see very, very quick times at the end of the session. And what the drivers will be trying to do is actually find clear track space, and that's going to be a big ask. I mean, it's not a short track by any means, 5.1 kilometers, but with all those cars out there on track, it's going to be busy.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see when you look at the racing line, you can see that it is drying up, and there is still some moisture left and right of the racing line, which means on the one hand that the track is going to get much quicker. On the other hand, it means once you get off the racing line, because you let another car pass or whatever, that immediately compromises your ability. The other part of that is off the tarmac, on the curbs, next to the curbs. That's where the moisture will linger. So it's going to be interesting. Will some of the drivers, after they've going through the progression, put in their bankers, are satisfied, will they at the very end try and attack those curbs? Because theoretically you can go faster if you exploit more width on the track. It's treacherous, and that can, if you get it wrong, it can compromise the rest of the qualifying for everybody else. So drama coming up.
We were looking at the Ray Acosta car. Now, Ray Acosta, having taken a podium in Sonoma a couple of weeks ago in the North American Challenge, also racing in the European Challenge. We're looking at the Ernst Kirchmeier car now. And here we continue to track Henry Hassid, who's gone fastest thus far with a 2:11.365. Then it's James Wyland. Welcome return to James Wyland for Rosso Corsa, driving the 118 car. He, another North American-based driver who's raced not only in the Europe Series, but North America and Asia Pacific as well. A very well-traveled and well-experienced Ferrari Challenge driver. And it's great to see James back in the car again. Von Skeltermaier has gone third fastest. Now, the best of the 488 drivers, Nico, is Faisal Shayer with a 2:18.741. We're expecting a deficit of maybe 6, 7, 8 seconds between the 296s and the 488s. I think that's fair to say. It's Henry Hassid from James Wyland, from Thomas Gostner and von Skeltermaier for the Shell drivers. Then it's Faisal Shayer, Pino Frascaro and Frederick Muller, who's gone third fastest for our 488 cars. We'll try and keep you abreast of both as Henry Hassid continues on an improvement trajectory. He's got clear track ahead of him, and Sector 1, he's been quicker than anyone. So we're expecting this to be an improved time, potentially from Henri Hassid, I should say, if I use the correct French, Henri rather than Henry.
Yeah, absolutely. Although, to the best of my knowledge, he hasn't complained. And interestingly, quite a lot of the drivers actually are really, really enamored with the way that you get creative with their pronunciation in an anglicized way. I tried to get that diplomatically,
yes,
accurately across. And Henri Hassid, which I'm sorry for everybody who speaks French.
Oh, what a time, Nico. Forgive me interrupting you. He's just taken very nearly 8 seconds. I mean, he's 10.1 seconds quicker than the next best driver, which is Tibor Valins.
Not anymore. It's now only 7.7. No, it just shows that the drivers are going through their progression. The track is evolving. So James Wyland, all of a sudden, it's only 2.3 seconds. It's almost nothing. Here is our championship leader, provisional pole setter with all caution that it's very early stages, as he shows us one of the very, very good ways through that turn one. And from that shot, you can actually see the elevation change and how the gradient changes when the track meanders into that first sector. As we take a look at the 118 car, and that is James Walland, our American competitor, currently in P4. Skeltner also got into the mix, got involved. Faisal Shahir, who we see here in the pit lane, he premiered, if I remember correctly, at Le Castellet, and he had a very, very good battle with Fabrizio Fontana, our champion in the 488 challenge class. He's missing from this round, but he's clinched the championship after a dominant season all the way.
Tommy Lindroth, coached by Fabian Volvend, has just gone quickest in the 488s, just as you were talking about the 488s, Nico. And of course, Fabrizio Fontana, who has won that championship, as you say. And I know Fabrizio can't be here this weekend, but he'll be watching on. And congratulations once again, Fabrizio. We miss you, friend. We will see him, of course, at the Finale Mondiale event.
Absolutely. And Faisal Shahir really made Fabrizio work for winning race one at Le Castellet. So on his debut, he really was on par. So we expect good things from him again today. Andrea Seed doesn't want to be troubled by anybody, so he improves further, 2:01.191.
Dare I say it, Nico?
Yes, you dare.
With less than 21 minutes remaining, just. Henri Acid has put a time of 2:01.191. Can they find a second and a 10th and get us into the 190? What do you think? 160s?
159?
159s?
Yeah. I've been wrong so many times.
Never.
One more time doesn't matter. Yes, I think they will. And one of the drivers who we haven't really seen in this qualifying session is one of the daughters of Thomas Gostner, who takes a rather alpine perspective of the chicane. Thomas Gostner, so that lap certainly, I think, has been rather compromised, but his daughter, Manuela Gostner, she and Henry Hassid have been doing the Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell dance of competition across the season. They have been involved in some amazing battles. Some went the way of Manuela, some slightly more went the way of Henri Hassid, so they have been hugely entertaining. Manuela hasn't set a time yet, so expect that to be one of the candidates to maybe challenge for that 1:59 time.
We need to big up Andrei Lewandowski, who makes his debut in the Ferrari Challenge for Autohaus Ulrich, who's gone 5th fastest for the Shell drivers, Nico, making his debut here at the Nürburgring. What a place to make a debut.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is von Skeltema. He, one of the very, very long competitors, long-standing competitors in the Ferrari Challenge, has gone through so many iterations of the Ferrari Challenge car in such a successful manner. Hasn't quite found his groove with the 296 by his own admission. So hasn't finished as high up the order as he would like, as we expect him to. P2 for the moment is a good start. He certainly would like to finish the season with at least one podium. It has eluded him thus far, but we've got still this event and the World Finals to do. Would regret him just as if he did it at the World Final, but he wants to do it as early as possible.
Of course he does. So, good improvement here from Andreas Rizzi then, as he now goes 2nd fastest. He's 5 and a bit tenths down on the best time, which has come from Henri Acid. So, the best of the Shell drivers is Henri Acid. The best of the 488 drivers is Tommy Lindroth, who's got the hurry uphill. And he's posted a time of 2:09.450. As we see the Henri Acid car parked up in the Kessel grid box then. Tyre pressure's being monitored on the Henri Acid car. And he will be back out again momentarily, I would think, because with 18 minutes remaining, as I was just bigging up Mr. Lewandowski. Let me big him up some more, because he's just gone 2nd fastest and he's taken it within 9/100ths of Henri Acid. So Henri's going to go out and respond, because at the moment, Nico, his provisional P1 looks vulnerable.
Yeah, for sure. It's 17 minutes remaining. I mean, like all the other drivers, you try to get as high up the order in qualifying with the fewest number of laps. Because you have to race on the Pirelli P0s that you qualify on, and the less tire wear, the better, obviously, for the longevity of later in the race. But equally, I think he's easily wise enough that the time that he has posted thus far will not be good enough for the starting position that he aspires to have. On Skeltema, first sector on this occasion not quite where he wants it to be, so not necessarily pushing through the remainder of this lap, but lots of qualifying time remaining. Andrzej Lewandowski, as I think is...
Do it again.
Andrzej Lewandowski.
Andrzej. I pronounced it incorrectly. Mr. Lewandowski, I apologize to you.
You're just not a football fan.
You're right.
There is a famous footballer from Poland by the same surname. So he is all name calling or pronunciation aside, he is on a very good lap and he's challenging for that P1 position, and he has just done it in 2 minutes 0.438. So we're less than half a second away from that 2-minute barrier falling.
Andrzej Lewandowski. Was that acceptable?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Well, you have to ask him probably.
Oh, well, yeah,
but,
probably, yeah. To be fair, he would be a better judge than you. As
sure.
we see Manuela Gosner now, and I was about to say there's a number of drivers that we've not really seen yet post a time that we would expect to see of them. Manuela is one of them, Motohiko Isasaki is another, and so too is John Dillon, and Thomas Loflad, and Ernst Kirchmeier, and Niels Branson. So still plenty of action to come in this qualifying session. We're delighted with you. You're with us here at the Nürburgring for our Coppa Shell and 488 qualifying session for our Ferrari Challenge drivers. There you can see Manuela's driver coach and team boss, Giorgio Sonagiotto, looking at the data being fed on the wall there. Let's see what Manuela is able to do to vault herself up the order. Got quite a lot of traffic ahead of her, Nico. That's going to perhaps hamper efforts. One of those is the 152 car of Thomas Loflad. Sat down and had a fascinating conversation with Thomas Loflad yesterday. And Thomas really enjoying his racing. And of course, this is a local gig for him here at the Nürburgring. Tyre pressures being adjusted, and that's the Pinot Frascaro car with the tyre pressures being adjusted. And Nico, we've got a car stopped at the end of the pit lane. Now that's the James Wyland car. James manages to get the car booted up again, and off he goes with Motohiko Isasaki making his way into turn number 1 right now. So Motohiko Isasaki, another one of the drivers who we're yet to see a meaningful time from. Andrzej Lewandowski then is P1, Henri Acid P2, von Skeltermar P3. Then it's Andreas Rizzi, Thomas Gosner, Tibor Valin, Christoph Ernie, James Wyland, the car that we focused on just a moment ago. Then Ken Abre Acosta. Alexei Komarov, who is P1 for Scuderia Prague Racing. I spent some time with Alexei last night, and Tommy Lindroth is P2 for our 488 drivers. So Thomas Gosner we're looking at right now, the driver of the CDP MP Racing 161 cars. During our break between qualifying sessions, I was talking to his team boss, Massimo Pepe, who's a long time been associated, of course, with driving the Gosners. Thomas Gosner is currently P5. Interestingly, the top 4 drivers have all come into the pit lane with 13.5 minutes of the session remaining. So here's Alexei Komarov then, P1, head of Tommy Lindroth, the Scuderia Prague team. And there inside the garages, you can see the data being analysed and being discussed and being talked about with driver coaches on the radio, of course, to their drivers as well. So here's Alexei, who's just had his P1 time taken away by Friedrich Müller for Go Motorsport Engstler, who has gone quickest in the 488s. Nico driving the 255 Ferrari Challenge 488 car.
Absolutely, and we're still waiting for times from quite a few of the drivers, John Dillon being one of them, Thomas Loflad, Motohiko Isasaki, and Kirchmeier, or Ernest Kirchmeier, as our timing screen tends to call him currently. Manuela Gosner, she involved in traffic, so that probably has compromised her current lap. She's currently only 14 and 12 minutes remaining. She will move up the order, but I think there was more in that lap.
Yeah, you're right.
So gonna be interesting what she does next time around. Back to her father, Thomas Costner. You could see he was tentatively approaching the curbs and trying to see what the grip level is there. Because once you allow yourself to make use of the curbs and the extra slingshot you can get just by...
Sorry, Nico, but you talk about slingshot. Thomas Gosner threw that through the exit of the chicane. It lifted the car off of its wheels. It came down and landed. And Thomas Gosner still crosses the timing line. And sadly, his sector 3, brought about by some of the aerobatics, which Thomas would know all about, through the curves. Here it is again, Nico. It's so good. Let's rerun the fun.
Yeah. I mean, he took quite a lot of curb on the inside, and he didn't stop and didn't shy away from it on the outside. It's the shorter way. I'm not sure if on this occasion, unsettling the car, it meant it was actually quicker, but we're now approaching 11 minutes remaining. And we have very, very good sector times to report. John Dillon is one of them with a purple first sector. Manuela Gostner, another one who is challenging personal best through sector 1, has dispatched of the traffic here through sector 2, and now has some clear timing ahead of her through that non-straight back straight. With that kink approaching the chicane, has improved on the second sector. Second sector really, really quick, purple on our timing screen. Overall, it is a personal best. Motohiko Izazaki just moved up the order into P2, but Maru Gostner, final turn. She is putting down the throttle, approaching the timing line. And it is a P2, it is an improvement. 2 minutes, 655, 1,000.
Thank you, Nico. And John Dillon goes P3 for Great Paul Nottingham with a 2:00.864, and that was his first meaningful lap that we saw, so maybe more to come from JD. So there we follow the John Dillon car, then the Great Paul Nottingham driver. Really, really enjoying his racing. He's having a good season. And John Dillon then currently third fastest. It is Andrzej Lewandowski, P1, Manuela Gostner, P2. This driver, John Dillon, is P3 ahead of Motohiko Isazaki. Henri Acid, who Nico, remarkably, with 9 3/4 minutes remaining, is still in the pit lane. Just as I say that, he makes his way out of the pit lane to try and respond to those that have wrestled away what was his previous P1 position. And John Dillon on another improvement trajectory here. Good John moving south further up the order than P3. We wait to see. So best of the 488 drivers is Friedrich Müller, ahead of Alexei Komarov and Niels Sabranson. So I said John is improving. Purple sector 1 for the driver of the 151-296 challenge car. So John Dillon then really taking to this track and really taking to the Ferrari Challenge 296 car as well. Race winner this year, and deservedly so. John Dillon, Great Paul Nottingham. Let's wait for the Sector 2 time and see if it is coloured purple. Because if it is, no, he lost a little bit of time, and I mean, we are talking a minuscule amount of time in the second sector. However, he can make it all up in Sector 3, potentially. He looked clean and tidy through the chicane, in my opinion. Rounds the final sweeping long turn and heads to break the timing beam. This is John Dillon then, who goes P1 with a 2:00.357.
We're edging closer and closer to the 2-minute mark. Andrzej Lewandowski, really a very, very good sector. You can see how all the drivers lost a little bit of time on the final sector, but John Dillon got it even better on that final sector, and this is part of how he did it. Exactly the right level of aggression and control.
You've taken the words out of my mouth.
Sorry.
As Meatloaf once said. He was just cleaner and tidier through that chicane, less aggressive across the curbs, and clearly, Nico, that makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, because it just allows you, even though it's a little bit longer the way, you stay on the tarmac, you're able to get the inputs from the steering wheel into the tires, onto the tarmac, and just be quicker on the throttle after the chicane, and that's what made the difference. We're talking maybe a tenth maximum, but that was the difference here with 81 1,000, the difference between P1 and P2 for the moment. Ernst Kirchmeier. With the red and white livery, he is approaching the time line. Currently P8, stays in P8. Traffic, part of that, we don't quite know, but it is possible. There is Manu Gosner, first sector is a personal best. She's only 2.5 tenths off the pole time for the moment. And the second sector changes that. She's now 1/4 of a second quicker after 2 sectors. She got through the chicane. She's only got 1 more turn to do, so that final sector is fairly short. But you can win or lose your pole time there. Traffic won't trouble her, even though the 488 car certainly slower ahead of her, and she gets P1.
This is tantalizing, Nico. It's like all those drivers out there are playing with us here. We said we're expecting to see the times in the 159s, and we are so close. We are just 3 tenths away from that, and they're edging it by hundredths, Nico, every blooming time.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe there is a magical invisible wall at the 2-minute mark. We'll see. I'm still convinced we'll see it. I'm still convinced that over the final 6 minutes, someone will find the magic. And the Ricardo Corsa Ram team are just discussing where can we make Dave and Nico happy.
Yes.
I think maybe not.
That would be least of their concerns, I suspect.
I guess so. Motohiko Izusaki, he was for a brief moment on P2. He's currently listed as P6, but he's also one of the drivers who are trying to improve.
And I have to say, this is one of Motohiko's better qualifyings. I think he's really, really quick.
Yeah, absolutely. All the drivers are currently out on track. Nobody's in the pit lane. So traffic is at its peak. 25 cars, or actually 26.
Yes, 26.
26 cars are out there on the track. So many that we can't even accommodate them on the graphics on the left-hand side. So there is Germano Salernitano also running and in P26. So look into the A, of course, the garage. Motohiko Izusaki, our Coppa Shell-Am champion from last year, would so love to take a podium from this event. Can he do it? Can he do it here today? Can he set himself up for a podium? The best finish thus far this season, a P5. Very respectable given he elevated only this season. He would like to be on the podium.
And Motohiko Izusaki remains P5, which is very good quality from Motohiko. Manu Gosner, John Dillon, Andrzej Lewandowski, Andreas Rizzi, Motohiko Izusaki, then the top 5. Now, for the Shell drivers in the 488s, Nico, you may recall that it wasn't so many minutes ago that Tommy Lindroth was P1. He's now P8 in class because it's Friedrich Müller, Alexei Komarov, and Sven Schirmer who are the top 3 in the 488 category. So we continue watching the cars out there on track, getting around here as quick as they possibly can. The number 160 car driven by Andrzej Lewandowski. He was in the pit lane and he's come back out again, Nico, to try and wrestle away the time set by Manu Gosner and John Dillon. And Henri Acide, Nico, with 3.5 minutes remaining, is only, dare I say it, only P6, and he's got traffic around him, so that's gonna hamper his efforts to get up the order, which we know Henri has got the pace, but he's got to have the tarmac as well.
Yeah, but he's still, the first 2 sectors are still giving him the chance. He's 3 tenths quicker. You know, we're still flirting with the 2-minute mark. That would be flirting with it. 9 1/1000ths off. Can he do it? Yes, dispatched off the traffic. He is now heading for the timing line. A 159. 935.
Yes.
Henry Hassid, you have done it for yourself, and you have, dare I say, done it for us as well. A 1:59.935 with 2.5 minutes remaining. That is our new benchmark, and yeah, there is joy in the Castle Racing Garage, and rightfully so. I mean, all jesting aside, that was a blistering lap.
And it was a blistering lap with a bit of traffic around him as well, Nico. So that would suggest to me that he's probably got the capability to go even quicker. So it's Henri Hassid from Manu Gosner, from John Dillon, Andrzej Lewandowski. Here's John Dillon then, and what's his sector times looking at, or looking like? Don't think this is a time that's going to trouble right at the top end. And John Dillon remains P3, and he too is going to have traffic to face now over the final minute and 50 seconds. So effectively, this is going to be the last lap for John. Here's Ernest Kirkmeyer then, P5, currently in the 199 car. Personal best through sector 1, and he's got clear tarmac ahead of him. So is he going to be vaulting Andrzej Lewandowski? Well, we will see. Henri Hassid then, 1:59.935. Who is going quick? We've got a minute and a quarter of this session remaining. Any driver that crosses the timing line before the clock has counted down to 0 can go again. But for a number of drivers, they cross the timing line just with not quite enough time to put another lap in. I think Manu Gosner is one of them, and I think John Dillon is another, as the Kessel driver, Ernst Kirkmeyer, crosses the timing line with 50 seconds remaining, so he can go again, but it will be his last lap, Nico.
Yeah, he didn't improve. Andrzej Lewandowski, who you mentioned, he is trying to do some vaulting on his own. Good first sector. So maybe he has still got a chance to get on terms with those on the front row. Their replay. And there is the Autohaus Ulrich car, which we've seen with different numbers already this year, adorned. And now expertly steered and piloted by Andrzej Lewandowski. One more turn to do. It's Motohiko Isazaki ahead of him. He should have the pace to not hinder Lewandowski, but Lewandowski is trying to get onto the front row, and he's done it. P2 with just under 0.2 of a second off the Henri Hassid time. Very, very good showing from our new entry.
And whilst we were watching Andrzej Lewandowski, Alexei Komarov for Scuderia Prague Racing has gone quickest for our 488 drivers.
And there is Ernst Kirchmeier. You said he has one more attempt at this, one more bite at the cherry of the Nürburgring. First sector was a purple bite at the sector time, and that means Ernst Kirchmeier, he is challenging not only for an improvement, but maybe for a pole position. We will find out. He is on that back non-straight straight, and he approaches the second sector line. Where will the clock stop? It's still within a 10.
It is.
So improvement, I don't want to say guaranteed, but very likely. Pole position. Henri Hassid will be watching this. The final 15 seconds or so of this lap by Ernst Kirchmeier. He's just rounding the final turn. Traffic won't hamper him. Where there is the checkered flag, there is the timing line, and it's by almost the slimmest of margin.
Ernst Kirchmeier then goes second fastest. But at the closing stages of this qualifying session, Nico, only one driver put it into the 59s to satisfy our demands, if you will, that we made right at the start of the session. And that's Henri Hassid. And well done to Henri Hassid. And well done to Alexei Komarov. Pole position in the 488 class, so a good job done by Alexei Komarov. And there you can see discussions from Manu Gosner, and there is Alexei. Very happy with that. Discussions you saw with Manu Gosner and also a driver coach, Giorgio Sonagiotto. So Henri Hassid then, clean and tidy. And even with traffic, Nico delivered a time that was better than any other driver. It's close, and it's closer than it's been for some time just 7 100s between P1 and P2.
Yeah, absolutely. Henri has seen, as we said, Manu Gostner and also other drivers, really, really good battles.
Top 6 within a second.
Absolutely, and it was Le Castellet where on his home race, Henri has really stretched his legs. He got into a fairly dominant position in the championship, and him being able to take another point, another pole position, that is all going his way for the moment, but it can change in a heartbeat, and we've seen that so many times. We don't hope it for Henri. We obviously wish all the best to all our competitors. He's done it. Here is the result of this session.
Confirmation, Henri Assid the quickest ahead of Ernest Kirkmeyer, then Andrzej Lewandowski ahead of Manuel Gostner, John Dillon, Andreas Rizzi, Motohiko Isasaki, von Skeltermar, Alexander Nussbaumer and Thomas Gostner then completing the top 10. Ahead of James Wyland, Tibor Valent, Christoph Herney, Ray Acosta, Mikael Martin, Thomas Loflad and Ken Abe. Now the best of the 488 drivers, Alexei Komarov ahead of Friedrich Muller, I should say. They're ahead of Sven Schomer, Niels Sabranson, Peter Frascaro, Faisal Shayer, Quinn Wittlisbach, Tommy Lindroth and Germana Salernitano. Wow, very exciting qualifying, which means that probably for the next qualifying session that we have this afternoon, it's going to be just as exciting, and you never know, we might even see some sunshine. Now there's a prediction that's bold and ambitious. From all of us here, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you for the races tomorrow, but more qualifying to come this afternoon. Goodbye.